Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Popping the Popcorn. I'm your host, Katie, and today I have my friend Pete from Reel of Thieves, and he has an amazing podcast, and you guys should totally check him out. And we're gonna do like a little interview, talk about movies or TV shows or whatever we feel like talking about. How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me and dealing with me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, I actually found Pete like a couple months ago in like October, and I started listening to his like podcast, and that's how I found him. I think I was like one of the first very few people that found him.
You were like literally the first person, and you immediately messaged me. You're like, "This show is so cool. This is such a concept." I was like,
Right.
What? I've never. The first time I put something out, someone messaging me, that never happened before. So that
Right.
made me feel so cool, and just gave me all this like gusto and motivation to just keep going.
Right.
Because
Well, I
like
guess
it was instant positive reinforcement. I loved it.
I guess because I'm just a nice person and I just go out and like find people, I guess, or people find me. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how the algorithm worked in our favor, but it did. And I'm
I
very
don't know.
happy that it did, because you've always been super, super cool. You've always been really nice. Like every time I've like reached out or whatever, you just been like, "Hey, what's up?" And like
Right.
totally just living by your example with everything that I'm doing. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I don't know if I'm a good example because I haven't really
No, because no,
podcasted
you
in
were
a while.
so welcoming. You were so welcoming to me. Like that just showed me like, no, this is how I should be.
Right.
So I appreciated it. So thank you.
I try to be nice to everybody, but you know, sometimes you can't be, but I try to be.
No, not the trolls. No,
No.
you can't be nice to trolls. You can't feed them and you can't be nice to them. There's nothing you
I
can do.
just delete them. I just go, what? Delete.
Every episode now I say, don't be a troll, be an artist. That's how I end my show every time. Because you know
Yes.
what? Like it's all frustration of
Right.
I think I can do this better. And it's like, you know what? Maybe you should show people that you can. You know, if you
Right.
want to put your money with your mouth, let's do it. And really get the energy going in a direction of creation versus like destruction.
Right.
And that changes a lot of things if you start getting a lot of people into the creation
Mhm.
direction versus the
Right.
destruction direction.
And I also think with podcasting, you do meet like a lot of the same people and a lot of people that follow you and you have supporters and stuff. And I just think it's interesting like how we all come together to a common goal as well.
I have had the most community out of anything outside of tabletop games in this. Like, you can call this a hobby, you can call this a profession, you can call this a million different things. I'm blown away by the people that I've met on Twitter, on Instagram, on Beams. It's been like super, super cool. And all I want to do is just keep like diving into the community and just being more extroverted, and I'm loving it. So
Right.
it's
And
really good, especially during now.
right. And you have one of those personalities, like that's why I liked your podcast so much because you could tell
Oh,
that
thank
you're
you.
passionate about it and your energy just and the whole like thing. Like when you talk about a movie that you actually love or a movie that you don't really like, it shows.
Well, like I try to be as positive as I can, because there's a lot of negative Nancy's all over the
Right.
place, right? Like, and for a lot of that has to do with the kind of flavor of the readership of the time, especially late 90s, early 2000s, right? You're talking about a bunch of people that were really into really angry video game reviews,
Right.
like the angry video game nerd and stuff like that, or like
Mhm.
or Yahtzee on the Escapist. Like that was pretty common. And to have people just kind of being mean to art became kind of a thing of the internet.
Right.
And I don't necessarily think that that was a good thing. And I feel like for me, it made me very jaded to be like that. All I would ever do is find all the hate in movies after a while. And I
Mhm.
kind of just stopped watching them. It was this big part of my life that I kind of just was
Right.
like, man, everything sucks now.
Right.
And I was really happy to be able to start making something where I was like, you know, I'm going to watch a movie that I'm not necessarily excited about, which was Gunpowder Milkshake. Everyone told me it wasn't going to be good.
Right.
And
I
find
remember that
all the
episode.
stuff that's in it. And I was like, no, I actually like this movie,
Mhm.
because I was looking for stuff that I was like, what are they drawing from? What's the direction? What's this? What's that? And when you start questioning like those things about the thing you're watching, it doesn't matter if it's a bad movie or not anymore. You're going to find something that you can go, wait a second, I learned something from this. Maybe it's
Right.
what not to do, but you learn something. And it's
Right.
sometimes more important to learn what not to do,
Right.
especially in screenplay writing or in movie writing. And it's like, how many shots do you get? You might as
Right.
well learn everything you shouldn't do. and
Right.
then and everything you
Right.
should, and like take everything in, and then you start riffing off of things that nobody's seen. And everyone's like, who's this original voice? That makes you
Right.
feel good.
Yeah, I remember when you did the podcast episode of what was it called, the Gunpowder Milkshake movie, because then it made me want to watch it. Remember, I messaged you and said I'm gonna watch this movie now.
Yeah, and I was almost like, wait a second. I didn't think I was that positive. But I was happy that you were happy, and it made me feel, oh, wait a second. I think I'm onto something. And but I took a break because it was just all like, I was literally machine gun referencing stuff. I was like,
Right.
this is cool. And I think people can see a lot of stuff that I'm seeing, but I'm not sure if this is really the structure of a show. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if this is a thing people will come back to outside of a novelty. So I took the time off to really think about it. Went back to my old show, which was Guerrilla Film History Now with this guy, Mark. Really great friend of mine. And the thing that was missing was like this thing in the show, which was, we're really like, my side of it was I was kind of analyzing his historical stuff that he was giving me. Right. And that was the thing that was missing for me, was like, I loved digging in that way. So to be able to get into a position where I could start really analyzing things that people weren't necessarily like, this is high art, I thought that was kind of cool. To be doing that to pop culture in that way and go, no, let's treat it the same way we would treat like anything else.
Right.
That was cool for me. So
So
that's why I started the adaptation episode, and now I've been on this arc of adaptations.
right, and I really liked your Sonic the Hedgehog one that you made last night or the other day
I'm
or
glad.
whatever.
Thank you. I got a bunch of good feedback from that one, so thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited. Someone said I'm gonna watch this movie now.
It was a good movie. I watched it, and
it's not a bad family movie, right? Like, it's actually for family films. It's good.
It's actually one of the better family films. I could say that much.
Yeah, no, there's ones that are actually really, really bad.
And I think also Jim Carrey playing Dr. Robotnik, because that comes back to my childhood of playing Sonic as a kid and playing Sonic.
Because he's giving you your childhood memories of his movies too, because that's around the same time, right? You're getting that little Ace Ventura bump.
Right, and he's actually not playing Jim Carrey in this movie. So it's interesting that he's actually not really playing Jim Carrey in this movies, because most of his movies he plays Jim Carrey, and I'm just like,
yeah,
okay, another Jim Carrey movie. How is he going to be this time?
I think that's why he went into that method direction for a while, right? That's why he did the Truman Show, and then he went on Man on the Moon. He had a complete nervous breakdown on Man on the Moon.
Yes, I heard about that.
It led to this whole spiritual experience for him. I think that was actually very good for him to have. I think that he's very happy where he's at now.
Right, I think so too. Because
I loved his villain dance in Sonic, though.
Me too.
That felt right out of Ace Ventura. Like when he's just dancing to being a villain, and he's like, "Yeah, I love it."
But I was surprised about James Marsden's character as well in that movie, just because.
Yeah, I was like, dude.
Because I'm not really a James Marsden fan. The only other movie that I really like him in is 27 Dresses with Katherine Heigl. So I'm just like,
ooh, that's an older one.
And I'm just like, James Marsden's in this movie. I don't know how this movie's gonna be, but then I actually liked it.
Did you see Westworld?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I think that's where he's getting more clout. Is really from like those moments, because it's like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. It's the same like when Matthew McConaughey did Dallas Buyers Club and True Detective. It's like, wait a second, I thought you did Sahara.
Right, exactly. Well, I think actors sometimes have to go through like bad movies to get like a couple of good ones anyway.
I think they need to see sometimes like, and I'm not trashing like when actors do bad films, right? Because at the end of the day, they're trying to get work.
Right.
It's like, hey, I got another one in the bag. I got some money to get going, and I can pay my taxes and pay my bills, and I'm good.
Right.
And it's like, maybe you have to do a film because you're attached to a certain thing. You know,
Right.
there are some vertical integration style contracts again, which kind of is not great for performers because they can
Right.
kind of lead into those weird movies. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say vertical
Yeah.
integration? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, it's the studio system again, the whole way down, especially with Disney Plus.
Right.
They own all the content on there. They're distributing it. They're doing everything. So, and they're
Right.
getting these actors into multi-movie, multi-year contracts and
Mm-hmm.
now they're roping in TV shows. Like it's just, it
Right.
feels like golden age all over again, which can create great pop culture content because there's a lot of through lines and a lot of seeds for a lot of different things.
Right.
But it's not necessarily the best for like the actors for their creativity and for their sanity.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what's going to happen like the next 10.
Me
Because
too.
I think there will be a bit. I think there's going to be more like independent streaming services.
I think
And
so
there'll
too.
be. I can totally see A24 having like an A24 plus.
Yeah, I actually
thing.
like A24 films. Is that bad to say?
No, I love A24 films.
I don't
think
like them.
Oh no! So I mean, like, I get it. I like them because like they speak to like my art house kind of things from my game days. I thought that the Green Knight adaptation was pretty well done.
I have not
honestly.
seen that one yet.
Well, if you don't like A24, you're gonna hate the movie.
Well, I might like that one just because it's not like one of their horror movies, so I might like that one.
No, they totally do it's totally fantasy horror. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It seems like it's not. The way the trailers seem, it seems like it's not.
It's definitely got like a grim dark fantasy edge.
Uh-huh.
You know, like which definitely still is a horror element to it.
Right.
I like that they leave the ending open-ended.
Right.
But what they do is that the adaptation isn't necessarily the same lesson of the original story.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like an adaptation for now and talking to the youth of now and like the kind of men in Arrested Development, because that's really where Sir Gawain is.
Right.
You know, he's in this Arrested Development kind of situation. He's kind of the perpetual man-child of the court, and he does something very foolish that he has to pay for eventually, and he has to go through because of this whole idea of honor and kind of this very dark coming of age story that doesn't necessarily happen in the original text.
Right.
There's definitely a happy ending in the original text.
Right.
It's not so happy for him, I think, this time.
Because Midsummer, I turned that movie off in 10 minutes. I did not like it. Turned it off in 10 minutes.
It's such a creepy movie. I'll do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna applaud it because they made a whole horror film in daylight.
Right.
It's completely daylight. Like that has not been done that much.
No.
Like there have been people that have tried. And Florence Pugh, I'm in love with her. You know, like I thought she was amazing.
Her. I like her.
I love her. She makes me love Yelena. Like if anyone else is Yelena, I would hate her. Like it's just maybe I wouldn't hate her. I wouldn't like her. I won't say I hate her. I would say I would not like her as much as I do as Florence Pugh. I feel like she just embodies Yelena the same way that Haley Steinfeld embodies Kate Bishop, and how Chris Evans really embodies Captain America. Like it's just a perfect casting for that role. When she you saw Hawkeye, right?
Yes.
When she catches that bottle. Hi. I was nope. Be still my beating heart.
Because Hawkeye. And actually, the TV show made me like Hawkeye more because he was my least favorite character in the MCU.
No, totally succeeded in that 100%.
He was like really good. I have a love and hate relationship with Jeremy Renner movies because some of them I don't like and some of them I do like. So I have like this love and hate relationship with his movies.
I felt like this was proof to me that you need to cast Jeremy Renner in a Die Hard reboot and make him John McClane. Right. Because he would be perfect as a brand new John McClane, especially after seeing Hawkeye. There's so many like cool references to Die Hard in it. Mm-hmm. It just made me fall in love. Or he was not the original casting though. Did you know that?
Right. No, I didn't know that.
You know, do you know the show Supernatural?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, It was
Was it
I think Ackles is his last name.
Jensen
Ackles.
Ackles? Jensen
Yeah,
Ackles.
he was cast. He went in to audition for Captain America, lost out to Chris Evans.
Right.
And they said, but we love you. You would be great as Hawkeye. And then he's getting all the dates, and they all match up with the Supernatural's shooting dates.
Oh, wow.
And they're not changing their schedule for Supernatural.
Right.
So he says, no, I owe it to the Supernatural fans.
Right.
Because like they were the people that like gave him a home. So it's like, he's like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to leave the show.
Right.
So
it would be
said
weird.
No.
Jared Padalecki by himself.
Yeah, and I'm not actually like after seeing the movies and how like kind of little utilized Hawkeye was, I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like maybe I'm not. Do you think they would have utilized him more if it was Jensen?
I think so.
You think he would have been better?
Maybe he would have a say so in the Avengers a little bit more than Jeremy, I think. But I'm not too sure. But I think so because Jeremy, out of them two, I mean, like Jeremy Renner's a good actor, and so is Jensen Ackles. But Jensen Ackles has only been in like a couple of TV shows. I don't know if he's done any movies.
He hasn't done a ton, and he's going to be in the new season of The Boys, and a lot of the reason why he was cast as Soldier Boy is because he went and he was the other choice for Captain America. Right. He was going to be one of the Avengers. So like this was a known story in Hollywood. So this is kind of him getting to do this, I guess, like kind of critique of Marvel, which is kind of cool, I think. I wasn't expecting
interesting. It will be interesting to see him in that role.
See, for me, The Boys is really hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
The Boys is tough.
I've only seen the first season.
There's a whole head exploding scene in the second season.
Oh, wow.
It's like everyone's just heads are exploding. And they're just sitting there watching it on TV going, oh my God.
Right.
It's just, I'm sorry my voice keeps going in and out.
It's still fine.
From the... Because I was sick with, if no one listened to my episode this week, I had COVID last week, so I'm still kind of. But
are you feeling better though?
Oh yeah, no, I'm still raspy and I still got a cough, but
it's okay.
That's why like sometimes I was drinking water and stuff, but I'm.
Well, I always have water. See, I always have water.
Yeah. Oh no, you have way more than me. You're still more professional than me. Absolutely. But yeah, no, it's a little too much for me.
Right.
You know, and I'm somebody who saw Terminator 2 at 4 years old.
Right. I watched it at a young age too. So
yeah, well, my mom did it as like I'm going to show you.
Right.
To ask for this kind of stuff, not knowing it would start me on this cinema journey.
Right.
That led me here to you.
Is that when you first?
Oh yeah, no, movies? I saw that. I said I want to make movies. That was the movie that made me say I want to make movies.
Right.
I was fascinated.
Is that like your favorite movie? Is that your favorite movie?
Terminator 2 holds a very, very, very close place in my heart because it is the film that like ignited movie passion in me. Like I had watched cartoons. I had seen Bambi and The Little Mermaid and Fern Gully and stuff like that. But like that was such a different experience. It like made me feel all these different things. I was scared out of my mind. I was excited. I was laughing. I was crying. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
And then like going back later to the film as an adult, realizing like that was absolutely the wrong decision to make as a parent. But I especially the nuke nightmare scene. But there's something so well done about Terminator 2 that they never ever captured again. Right. You know, like it is genuinely for me, like that and Aliens are the two perfect sequels.
Right.
They just did things with the franchises that were new and different, but they still were in universe. They were able to make it bigger and better. It was like the quintessential everything a Hollywood sequel should be when you go to the movie theater kind of a thing. That for me was, that they haven't really beaten that. I know Avatar made more money. I know that Marvel films have made more money. I don't think structurally any of those films are as like in terms of the writing are as tight, as cool, as like metal as Terminator 2 Judgment Day is.
Wasn't that movie in the 90s, right? Didn't it come out?
Yeah.
92nd one?
1992 or 1993, yeah.
Yeah, the 90s movies were interesting because they didn't have a lot of technology like we do in like the 2000s. So a lot of that stuff is interesting how they had to come up with all kinds of like stuff, especially for like Terminator, especially for like the robots.
The reason why T-1000 looks so good is because that's all practical. Right. So for the scene where the T-1000 cop's getting shot, he has these little flowers coming out almost they look almost like flowers. They literally were flowers. Right. Foam, like latex painted, all this stuff, flowers, to make it look like the metal was coming out from an explosion. And they came out of like these, it was a very intricate setup. When he melts at one point towards the end of the film and comes back together, that's literally mercury that they filmed in reverse. Like, that's just brilliant. Like the fact that people are trying to emulate that with CGI, and it's like, why isn't it working? Because it's not CGI. Now you're going to be seeing that again now with the new Lord of the Rings series coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Rings of Power.
I can't wait.
Did you see that trailer? That was 100% CGI, not CGI. It was 100% practical.
Yes, I saw it. It was really good. I can't wait for it because I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm a huge nerd on Lord of the Rings, so I can't wait for it.
So how many times have you read the novel?
Oh, I've read it like 100 times.
I can't get through it. I always make it to the Elven Kingdom. They leave the forest, and I'm like, I can't anymore. And I just start falling, and I'm like, I don't know why. I think it's just because it's so thick.
It's like 1,000-page book.
Yeah, that's what always intimidated me about Harry Potter. I have not read all of the Harry Potter books either. No, I'm losing some cred here, but I'm going to be honest. I have not read all the Harry Potter books. I have not read all of Lord of the Rings.
I've read all the Lord of the Rings.
I read all of Dune in 2 days, though.
I'm not a Dune fan.
I loved Frank Herbert's Dune. I'm not a big fan of the other books. They kind of lost me. Once we got to the Worm God, I was like, I can't do this anymore. But the first book, there's something about it that I really fell in love with. And that's where a lot of Game of Thrones comes from, is that first book.
Right.
All the different houses.
Could you get in the Game of Thrones books? Because those are like 1,000 pages too.
No, and a lot of it has to do with like, it's like even like more overly sexualized. Like, it's just like, when you're just talking about like looking at your reflection and rubbing your body, like, that's not anything anybody does. Like, don't, I can't do that. And also there were things that I knew about the series that kind of turned me off. Like, the original plan for the series was a trilogy, and they're like, no, it has to be 7 books.
Right.
So like, he stretched it out, and like how much he has to reference his stuff. I understand it's vast and there's thousands and thousands of characters, but like, you also, I don't think, could ever do a real true adaptation. And after how the show ended, that last season put such a bad taste in my mouth for anything Game of Thrones. And I don't think that was his fault. That wasn't his fault at all.
It was the writers and the producers, I think.
Well, one thing is that if they would have went to 10 seasons, it would have been a very, very expensive show. Back then. Now, the amount of money that they're putting into Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power, now that we're talking about all this TV stuff, is insane. Like, way more insane than anything HBO would have been willing to do for Game of Thrones, despite how crazy it was. The fact that like you're condensing 3 seasons worth of stuff into 1 season. And the other, like, everyone else behind the scenes had like multiple projects lined up.
Right.
They're like, we're moving on to the next thing. We're done. So like, it feels rushed because it is rushed.
Right.
And they could only do so much in a 12 episode thing. And a lot of that stuff comes across jarring because you don't have a ton of the setup and payoff that you would have had in other previous seasons. The reason why Game of Thrones worked so well was because it was such a slow burn.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we just ignited this giant TNT Acme fuse.
Right.
Yeah, no, 5G ruined the show. That's what it was. It was all those 5G antennas.
Right.
They were too close to them, and they made
No.
one season out of 3 seasons of a
Right.
show.
Yeah, everybody was mad about Game of Thrones anyway. The last season, everybody was mad about it.
I was that was all of the reasons why I usually don't get invested in TV shows until they're done.
Right.
Like, because of like the way sometimes they can end, because it's like, well, we wrote all these things and now we only have one more season. We kind of gambled a little bit and thought we might get one more, and it just wasn't the thing. Or maybe there was a plan for a bigger thing and they get it shorter. Like, it's just, there's so many things that can happen in the span of like 5 or 6 years. Look how many things have happened to everybody else in 2. You know? So, I mean, most people these days wouldn't want to work someplace more than a couple of years anyway. Imagine all those actors having to work 7, 8, 10, 12, 25 years on the same show.
That's a long
time. And then you have the other thing of, well, when do we end the show? What if you have perpetual infinite amount of seasons like The Simpsons?
Right.
It's like, well, how do we land it? Well, you kind of, you can't. Like, there's been several landings of the show. And I think that the day that show ends, I think they are going to do this massive thing, this massive special, and it would be incredible.
I think so too. I think there's like, last time I looked on Disney Plus, there was like 23 seasons or something.
Yeah, but it's like, it's such a behemoth that it's like, how do you end it at that point? You know?
Just
what's for me, the biggest cliffhanger in TV though has to be Hannibal.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I fell in love with that show, which is weird because I can't do The Boys, but I could do Hannibal on NBC. I think it was the way that they shot it. The way that they shot food in that show was absolutely gorgeous. I've never seen food shot like that ever. And Brian Fuller and everybody in the team in that was incredible. I mean, the casting, everything was just, it was so good. I'm sad where it ended. I wish I would get one more season, but I'm still happy how it ended. But they did leave a cliffhanger just in case they could get that one last season one day.
Maybe they'll go back like they did with Dexter.
Yeah, and I hope that they do. I think everything just needs to be just right for it to work, though. And it has to be Clarice. You know, so that's also kind of a big thing to tackle, especially, bless you, especially because the Clarice show on CBS like was a couple of seasons, but they kind of already did it. So where do they go with it outside of like this kind of story that we don't have outside of the books, with everybody? So I don't know. I don't really know, but I really love that show so much.
I have to check that show out.
if you can handle gore, handle gore.
Yeah, I like the movies.
What I loved about the show was how it not only did it expand on the movies, you get great moments from the films, but like as they were written in the books a little bit closer. But also they gender bend the entire show.
Oh wow.
So like there are characters that are female that create all these new relationships. They also really dive hard into a literary theory called queer theory. And they do a fantastic job using that as well. And I think that fixes a lot of the problems, particularly of Silence of the Lambs, that you got from that, especially about like trans people and people that aren't, necessarily, cisgender straight guys, because it kind of came across that Buffalo Bill was killing people because he was a transvestite. And that's not really a reason anybody kills anybody. I'm just so into this. Like, that's not
it's not thing. Normal.
No. And it's really damaging to like an entire community. So I was really happy that Hannibal went in that direction, because it's like, it was like kind of a, no, that was wrong. We're going to do it this way. And I really like that a lot. So, and the Art of Hannibal book, I have an actual art direction of Hannibal book that
that's
genuinely
awesome.
really love. I love it so much.
Yeah. I think like I've seen the clips of the show and stuff. And I love the cinematography in that show.
Oh my god, yeah. It's so good.
I
For you, like, so you've been doing a lot of movie reviews. What's been your favorite review to do in like the last 2 weeks?
so I just did a review on Phantasma, or however you say that, Phantasmic. It came out in 1979 about the tall
Phantasma,
man.
yeah.
About the tall
Ooh.
man. So I just did a review on that, and that movie was really interesting because it came out in 1979, and some of the stuff they had to use, like have you seen the movie?
I have not. I've heard of the film. It
Okay.
came out around the end of the American New Wave.
So
So
if you have Peacock or if you have Shudder, it's on both of those, or
ooh.
it's on Pluto TV, you
Okay.
need to watch it because I want to hear your takes on it. Because this film is so good, especially like there's a scene where there's these like silver balls, and they had to and they have like these like arrow, like it kind of looks like a lightning strike in these balls,
Okay.
and there's a scene where this guy is getting like balls on his like forehead or something, and they had to film that scene backwards.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Mm-hmm.
super cool. Now, so like the American New Wave was super, super inventive with that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've got to
and
give it.
and
Especially
to
horror films in the late 70s,
right.
early 80s. They did so much cool stuff.
And then they had to throw the balls. They got pictures, actual pictures from like the major leagues, to throw the balls.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they wanted to kill the actor.
I don't know. Well, they're like
You know what?
rubber balls.
Just to be safe, let's get someone that can throw a ball at 96 miles an hour right at your head.
Right. I don't know, but I was
It's
just
the
like
late
going
70s, so they're all juiced up.
right. So I was just like going through like all these like fun facts and stuff about the movie, and I did my movie review on it earlier today, and it was really good. I actually watched it 2 days ago because I
That's
was
super
just
cool.
busy the last few days, so I didn't get my review out in time, but it was actually really good.
Oh man, I gotta try to check that out. I want to. That's on my list. And then the next movie I want to watch for the show, because I'm still in adaptations. I've got to get me a Apple TV subscription so I can see Tragedy and Macbeth. I really want to do that
I
for the
want to see
show.
that movie too.
I want to see it. Denzel Washington in Shakespeare is just like, I want to see that so bad because that's where he was discovered.
Right.
Like,
I love Denzel Washington.
Oh my god. Oh.
Like any
That
movie
man.
he does, he puts so much heart and soul into the movie. I think
Yeah,
he's a
like
method actor.
even his bad films like Ricochet are still like, well, he's in it, so it's good.
Right. Right.
I'm Training Day.
Oh, I love that movie.
Day. When his first like real big turn as a villain is so good.
Right.
I mean, and they still reference the King Kong line. They just referenced that in the new Space Jam movie.
Right. I didn't like that one as much.
You know what? I liked it more because, and maybe it's because I like all the referential nostalgia. Like they're just fan servicing me to death, and I'm like, just give it to me.
Well, I liked all the references and stuff, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was Dwayne Wade's, right? It was Dwayne Wade. I don't know who was it.
LeBron.
I don't know. I get them confused. Whatever basketball
it's
player
okay.
it was.
Yeah, no, it's LeBron James. But the the original Space Jam, structurally, the original Space Jam is much better of a script because there is a very well defined Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Right.
And it hits all of those things. Right. And this one is kind of having to do multiple things, right?
Right.
It has to be a reboot. It's a pseudo remake, but it's also a sequel. But we're trying to like make it more for like kids that are now. And they tried, I think, to add in like 3 or 4 different storylines together, and they pieced it together, and I think they did a pretty good job and with what they had to do with all of those pieces.
Right.
And I liked Don Cheadle, honestly. Like,
yes.
I really
as the bad
like
guy. Because you never really get to see him as a bad guy.
Well, no, but like also it's like he's in like this Funny or Die mode, like from Captain Planet. From those skits. And
yes.
I loved him in those. So like I saw those notes from Captain Planet in there, and I was like, yeah, no, that like all of these scenes I actually like because he just ate that all
Right.
up. And he's like, no,
He did.
I'm gonna go full Cheetle. And I loved it.
Right. I liked it. No, I liked the Space Jam movie. I just think, in my opinion, it had a little bit too much going on. That's
It
why I
had,
didn't
yeah,
like it as much.
that's exactly what happened.
And
You know, and the
the
first
only
film, it
other
was like, let's just make Michael look good.
right, and the only other movie that I did like LeBron James, I always get him and Dwayne Wade mixed up. I don't know why, but
It's
I
okay.
do.
I'm more of like a football soccer guy. So
I liked him. I liked him in Trainwreck because he was just hilarious in Trainwreck. Dwayne Wade. I mean LeBron
LeBron.
James.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
LeBron, his comedy notes are actually really good. And I think that he riffs off of people really well. Like
he did.
the best scene that he does in terms of the acting is when he's with the woman who plays his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is with Michael B. Jordan.
Yes.
Like there's this little scene with Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, I
And they're
remember
going
that.
back and forth. I was like, that timing's perfect.
Right.
That timing's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it that there were other basketball players in there and that they got their voices and they got to be like the monsters and like the goon squad.
Yes.
I thought that was a cool little thing to do.
Right.
Besides getting like a bunch of other like people to play villains.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, and I dug that he was like, you know what? I've been a bad dad. I need to be
Right.
more accepting of you. And
Right.
I need to get to your level. You don't need to get to mine. This isn't the same kind of situation I was in.
Right.
You know, and every time they do like fatherly like angles in films, I'm always like, no, I get it, man.
Right.
Just get sucked in.
I
They
think
just
we
get me
all
every
do.
time.
I think that's what part of family films are about, is you just get sucked into them.
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, I love watching films like Mandy and all that kind of stuff too, like with all the other stuff we talked about. But
I still haven't seen Mandy yet. I have it on my list. I think it's on.
if you don't like A24, don't see Mandy.
But I'm not a huge Nick Cage fan either. So
yeah, so absolutely, that's not that. I would say take that off your list because I'm not sure if this is absolutely quintessential, like milked Nick Cage before they started really milking Nick Cage as Nick Cage. Like this movie showed you could make a movie with Nick Cage as like that meme of him as a character.
right.
And this kind of started down that rabbit hole for him of being in these films to the point where now he's going to be in a film literally playing a caricature of himself. And I think after this, he's going to want to move away from that.
I actually kind of liked him in Kick-Ass. He was Nick Cage in Kick-Ass.
Yeah, he's really, really good. He's not a big fan of method acting.
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with the fact that he was very successful early on with method acting and got bored.
Right. And he was really good in National Treasure. He was really good in those movies.
Oh my God, I love him in Con Air. I think that's my favorite. I think that, or you know, maybe The Rock.
Right.
Oh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Con Air because he does the accent.
Yes, he does. I started laughing when he did that accent in Con Air. I started laughing.
Yeah, but you know what? He owned it, and after a while, I was like, I'm in. I'm on this train. Right. I'm doing it. Put the bunny down. I can do this.
And then I have Pig on my list. That's on Hulu, and I have Pig on my list.
I want to see that so bad.
It's on
Hulu?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know. Oh, I've got to see that. I was originally gonna do this Nick Cage arc for Mandy. Right. I was gonna see Mandy, and then I was gonna see Color Out of Space, and then I was gonna see Pig. But after the Mandy episode, that's when I started rethinking the show. So I kind of stopped from that. Right. I would like to go back. I think I want to do adaptations. I want to kind of stay in this kind of vein of like doing arcs and series of a show. Because I don't know, I think it's fun. It gives also me like some structure because I do write the show. So it does give me an idea of what to do.
A little bit of structure from where you first started till now. It does give you a little bit of structure.
I'm not just riffing into a mic anymore.
Before, I mean, like, I liked your podcast before, but I think you were all over the place a little bit. And
no, totally ADHD.
But that's okay though, because you live and you learn. Like everybody.
I learned a lot.
I started putting facts in my movie reviews, and everybody seemed to like it actually. Because I started doing, I put a poll on my Instagram, and I said, do y'all want to do Harry? Do you want me to do a Harry Potter or do you want me to do Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah.
And everybody's like Pirates of the Caribbean because I guess there's more Pirates of the Caribbean than Harry Potter fans. I don't know. But so
Okay.
I started doing that. So I did the Curse of the Black Pearl the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And once I did the fun facts of the Curse of the Black Pearl, everybody's like, we want more fun facts because it's interesting to find these things. So now I have to do more research and stuff like that.
Oh, that's really cool. Like for me, like I did the film school thing kind of on a riff of like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do like a little homework assignment at the end to try to get people to write.
Right.
I'm just gonna do this and just see what happens because it just seems like more my speed. I'm always encouraging people to write. I can't tell you how many people I've told to be writers at all. Like, I don't care what you write a 500-page novel and send it to me. I'll edit it for you for free. I just want you to write.
Right.
This is good. Like, I used to tutor people when I was in college and I'd read their stuff. And like, you know, sometimes it's a term paper or whatever, but occasionally I'd see this story and I'd be like, this belongs in a literary magazine. Like,
right.
I know you're a biology major, but like you need to also do this.
Right.
Because this is also very, very good.
Right.
So if I can get people to kind of find the passion again and stuff and like maybe make something new and different. And like, let's say it's a spec script that gets sold
Right.
and then it changed. Like, yeah, that's great. That's amazing. And then people are realizing their dreams or they're getting a hobby or whatever. Like, hell yeah. Like,
I'm
this is all
for it.
yeah, like it's great. Like, I think more and more people should write.
I tell people to always follow their dreams no matter what you want to do. You know?
Yeah, like I tell my kids this. Figure out what you're good at and what you love and make money doing what you're good at while you figure out how to make money on what you love. If you really want to do that. But either way, you know what you're good at. Like, you know your skill set, you know all that stuff. And a lot of the time, the best artists are people that come from different worlds and they're applying all these different types of things and methodologies to their art now. And people are like, oh my God, I never thought to do that. But that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And like even if you don't think you could do it, like people are saying on YouTube, like it's your first like year as so on my channel, I've only been doing it since October. So a lot of people are like, even if you get to like where you get a roadblock, don't delete your channel. Just take a little break from it for a while.
Yeah. Or like if you're just like you're hitting a creative thing, like if you're hitting a creative bump, 9 times out of 10, it's because you're not consuming enough art. Right? Like you're consuming the same kind of stuff over and over and you're not on like a balanced diet of art. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people get frustrated because it's like, why can't I come up with this idea? Why can't I come up with this scene? Why can't I fix this character? Why can't I da-da-da-da-da? And that's happened to me a million times. And what'll happen is I'll be listening to something and there's a set of lyrics in a verse. And I'm like, wait a second, that's the theme of this character. This whole song is the theme for this character now. Let me dig into the rest of the song. And then you find like the elements that are missing maybe in that song. Or you're watching a movie and you're like, wait a second, this is kind of the scene I'm trying to write. What did they do different? And what other scenes are like that scene? That's not bad. Like it's not bad to be riffing from stuff. That's why I'm doing an adaptation series first for this stuff. I want people to realize that literally 99% of the stuff that they're watching has lines, scenes, characters ripped out of everything and into this thing. And like, it's all mixtapes. And it's not like, and that doesn't cheapen film. I love mixtapes. Mixtapes are quintessential to hip hop and electronic music. So like, why not take the sampling idea from that and put it into movies? They've been doing it the whole time.
And
that once you really look at it like that.
And also people that aren't like really big into movies like we are, we're like hardcore movie buffs. Don't realize also that like all the characters, all the work that the movies have to come through, somebody basically has to write the script. And then all these characters have to come to life. They don't realize like the big like scale of it.
Yeah, and like a lot of the times like a script to production, I think average is what, like I think I heard something like 7 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
for a first script, and
It
not like
is.
I don't think anybody realizes how long it takes. Akira, I mean, Akira Kurosawa, right? Seven
Yes.
Samurai, Rashomon.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he said about screenwriting? It was one of the last interviews he did before he died.
What did he say?
He said, if you really want to make movies,
Mm-hmm.
you have to become comfortable with the mundane task of putting pen to paper.
Right.
Like, all you have to do if you really want to make movies is learn how to write a really tight, good 90 to 120 page script.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that and you can make a bunch of those, you can literally do so much in the movie industry. You have no idea. And like, that's how a lot of Japanese filmmakers were taught. He was taught that way. When you got those internships, the first thing you did was you were put in a room and like, write a movie.
Right.
write this scene, or like edit this stuff.
Right.
And the idea was, you're learning all of the building blocks of film. You're learning how to make schematics, essentially. And it's like, well, now you're really good at knowing where everything goes. Let's see where your instincts take you when we actually take you out into the job scene, right? The job site. And then you're on there, and they treated it kind of like a blue collar kind of thing. And in a lot of ways, film works very well in that kind of environment. So if you're not willing, like if you're like, you want to dream about being in the movie industry, if you're not willing to sit down for an hour or two a day and work on a spec script, that's literally for free at this point. It's free to do. So you kind of got to show people stuff. Like, if I want to get out there, I've got to make a podcast or a YouTube channel or something. People have to see that I'm doing stuff.
Exactly.
I have to prove to people I want it.
Right. And I think everybody that makes a podcast, YouTube channel, whatever the case may be, they put a lot of hard work and soul into it.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm learning more. I'm learning every day about how to write a better script, about how to read, when I can riff off my script. Maybe I can start peeling off of it and maybe do more bullet points. Like, it's when I realized that, like, I didn't have to just sit here and try to like improvise a 3.5 hour show.
Right.
The sky was the limit.
Right. If my videos, I actually do them all in one take. I don't write nothing down. I do them all in one take.
Well, I mean, this is a very natural conversation to have. Like me, like, I don't know if I could actually just sit there and just like talk at the camera and do it so well. I stumble a lot. I stutter a lot.
Right. So. Yeah. I just do it all in one take, and people are like, you really do that? And I'm like, yeah. I just go on the top of my head and just go with it.
Wow. I do so the show I have on Beams called Breaking Character, that show is all one take, but I do write it out. It's scripted. And that's because I have 90 seconds to get everything in. So it has to be super tight. Right. So I've actually done a really cool, I don't know how much my earbud, and I turned up on music. So, So, when, I totally lost my train of thought. I told you I had ADD.
It's okay. It happens. Hey, when I'm talking to people, like, people don't understand when you're talking to people and it flows sometimes. You're ADHD, you go all over the place anyway. Like, if you look look at my like past podcast, you'll see I went all over the place, but I don't care. That's me.
Yeah, I'm trying to be more comfortable just being me. It's really tough. I'm very dependent on people. Like, I've always been like a part of a duo or a team, or I've always had other people working with me on stuff. This is the first thing I've done outside of just like my short story and novella writing and stuff. That's just me. So it's kind of, I'm trying to put myself out there by doing this and talking to you. And like, when you said like, I can do a video, I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to do it. Cause like, I have to get myself out there. I have to do this.
Right.
I have to get more comfortable with it.
What I say is you and I are friends anyway to begin with. So
yeah. And it makes it so much easier.
It makes it easier if you're doing it with a friend versus somebody you don't know. I think.
Exactly. Yeah,
because they kind of know you already, so they already know your personality and which way the show or the podcast is going to go. Or if you're on a live stream, sometimes you don't know how the people are going to comment either as well. So it's like different, all the different things that go together.
Yes. And now I remember. I was talking about Breaking Character on Beams. I was trying to do a plug. I remember.
It's okay.
So no, but that thing is just, it's literally 90 seconds. It's just super duper tight.
Right.
So that I do it in 2 parts, and it gave me a lot of discipline in terms of I'm writing consistently every day. Like I'm trying to get ahead, trying to write
Mhm.
multiple episodes, but I'm recording in one shot. And
Right.
so I'm I'm doing like the Bob Ross thing where like I'm reading it to myself and like, let me try it this
Right.
way, let me try it that way.
Right. Hey.
Because like I can start and stop it if I want to, but you hear the little
Right.
tappies. Like that's not fun.
Right.
So but that's been really cool to do. And that got me really in a really good rhythm of I've got to
Right.
take care of my throat. I've got to do this. I've got to write. I've got
Right.
to have time for this. I've got to, and it keeps just the creativity rolling and just, well, what can I consume today?
Right.
Like what are the people I need to learn about? And it
Right.
gives me ideas for other things. And it's been
Right.
absolutely fantastic. I think every person about to have a midlife crisis like I am should have a podcast ready to go, already going. Just,
Right.
so when
Right.
you have the money for the sports car, it's there,
Right.
when you have that
Exactly.
desire. Yeah.
Right. Well, I say also, like people will be like, I don't know what to talk about. And I'm like, just talk about whatever's on your mind. It doesn't matter what it has to be,
Yeah.
you know?
No, this whole conversation, while it's been all over the place, has been really, really fun. I don't
Yeah,
know how
exactly.
it's going to be for people to watch,
Hey,
but I
it'll be
hope that they
something.
enjoy it.
They
I hope
will.
they enjoy it a lot.
They will. They will.
Good.
Because they know how I am. They know I'm all over the place anyway. So,
Well,
you
I hope
know,
they like me. I hope you like me.
I'm sure they'll like
As I
you.
said earlier, I'm very dependent on
They'll like you.
whether.
Hey, if I like you, they'll like you.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to teach myself some self love. I really am. I'm trying.
You need to.
I
Everybody
really
needs
am.
self-love.
We
I
really
always say
do.
to people that actually ask me, like, you can't, if you don't love yourself, you can't love another person. And that's true. Like, you
That
have
is
to
really
love
true.
yourself. You have to love yourself before you can love somebody else, because otherwise you're going to put those insecurities on that person.
Yeah, that's super true. That really is.
You
Yeah, that's
know,
super deep.
and
That
you
we
should,
just got real serious.
yeah. But you always should try to be nice to the people that care about you and that are going to support you. You
Yeah.
should always be kind to everybody, no matter what they're going through, because at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
don't really know what somebody's going through.
No, they're not yelling at you. They're yelling at, their dad from 15 years ago.
Right.
Because you did a thing that reminded them, or it's,
Yeah.
they've got all these other money troubles, or like there's something going on with their kid. Like there's a
Right.
million things that could be
That's
going on.
why when my mom was really sick, a lot of people don't know this. My mom was really sick when I was a teenager and I had to grow up at a young age. So I would just get myself into books and like movies
Mhm.
because because I would it would just be so stressful that I had to find something to do while
Yeah.
I'm in this stressful situation. So that's where
Yeah.
like part of my love for movies came in and books and stuff like that. So
Yeah. No, I totally relate to that. Like for like any kind of trauma kind of response. Like I think for me, yeah, the graphic novels, video games, TV,
mhm.
movies, like the escapism
Right.
is something that's really been big for me. Like now it's paying off because I can have this pseudo encyclopedic knowledge of stuff.
Right.
Um, but I'm trying to work on, even now, I'm trying to work on being more like exposed to it, like
Right.
the stuff that's going on, and kind of trying to feel it while it's happening instead of like
Right.
stuff it down with, all
It's
these facts about
right.
Cyberdyne systems and how the Terminator works.
Right.
Or like, let me read all of the rules of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, even though I'm never going to run a game.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like it's okay to be emotional and vulnerable at the same time,
Oh
but
yeah, I've had to learn that, especially as a guy, you
right.
know. Like I've had
Mhm.
to learn like it's okay. And now I'm like sitting there with my son crying at movies. And he's
Right.
like, it's okay, Dad. Daddy, it's okay.
Right.
You cry all the movies. I'm like, I know. It's just they're happy and I'm happy.
Right. My
Oh my
nephew does the
God.
same thing. My nephew caught me crying one day to a movie we were watching together. He's like, "You crying?" Yes, he's 5 years old. He's
Uh,
almost 5 years old, and I'm
all the
like,
Disney
"Yes."
movies. Wally.
Mm-hmm.
Wall-E. Oh my god. If you put on a Toy Story movie, I will leave.
Right. I cried. I was actually on a date on the third Toy Story movie, and I cried at the end because
That's a
Andy's leaving.
terrible. Oh my god, that's almost as. I think that's as bad as my first date movie, which was X2, Last Stand.
Right.
Not a great date movie.
And
I
I was like crying at the end, and the guy's like looking over at me. This is before I met my fiance, and the guy's like looking over at me. Are you okay? No, I just have allergies.
so I was on this really bad. I'll tell you my worst movie date. It was for Prometheus.
Uh-huh. Oh wow.
So the person was like, "Oh, I love movies. Da, 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 I love." And I was like, "Oh, do you like Ridley Scott?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, he's got a new movie out."
Right.
Oh my god! When we got to the pod scene,
Mm-hmm.
the surgical pod, it was just. I was sitting like we were both just sitting there like this is absolutely the wrong decision to make.
Right.
I my favorite part of that film though is that they can't run sideways.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So he's like, "Are you okay?" And we're supposed to go to dinner after, and I'm like bawling because Andy left, and I was like, "I have to go to the bathroom."
Yeah, because it's like it's the end of everything now.
Yeah. Until Toy Story 4 came out, and then I just fell in love
Yeah.
with Forky. Everybody thinks he's annoying, but I love Forky.
Oh no, Forky's the best. You know why Forky's the best? Because he's just made from love.
Right.
Like,
But a lot of
and
people don't like him because he's annoying.
yeah, but you know what? My son has a bunch of toys like that.
Right.
Right? Like he has like a kaleidoscope thing. He made a preschool that's out of like a little paper towel thing, and we'll make toys sometimes. He loves doing that kind of stuff, and those toys that he makes are just as special to him as the ones that we've bought for him, like the Ricky Zoom bicycle and stuff like that. So it's so for me, like when I saw those pieces of it, I was like, yeah, why is there hate? Like I got my son one of those t-shirts because like hell yeah.
Right.
Forky's
I like
awesome.
the part when he goes, "I'm trash," and he goes in the garbage can.
It reminded me so much of Olaf.
Yeah, it did.
And that made me fall because I love Olaf. My favorite scene in Frozen is like oh, I've been impaled.
Hey, look, I got Olaf in the background. I got the lounge bar.
You do? Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, yay! I have an Olaf snow cone maker.
Yeah, I have Olaf in the background. Well, actually, my shirt's Tinkerbell. This is my.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna wear it. I didn't have it available because it wasn't ready. But I have a t-shirt. That's now in the laundry. But it was I made it of the Nostromo, the ship from Alien. And it's the USCS Nostromo like logo, and I made like Weyland-Yutani. I made it look like a gym shirt that they give the people on the crew.
That's really cool.
I love Alien.
Right. Alien's a good movie. I actually like that movie. I like that one, but I did not like Prometheus just because I'm not a prequel or a sequel type of person.
Well, I understand what they were trying to do with the lore, but like a lot of that movie was based around one set piece from Alien.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt I liked the mystery of it. I also like the world building that they did in Prometheus. I think that like the stuff that they connected actually was really good. And Alien Covenant was okay. I mean, what they were trying to do essentially was David was really the main character, right? Like David, it was like kind of this fall from grace of an android, Paradise Lost kind of situation. And I don't really think they're ever going to get to tell the full story the way that they really, really wanted to. But I see where it was going. And I love David. I love the character of David. The fact that he's obsessed with Lawrence of Arabia gave him bonus points for me. I don't care if he's a villain. The fact that he's just a trick William Potter is not minding that it hurts and doing the match scene over and over again. I was like, this guy's a cinemaphile. How can I not love him?
Right.
He's been stuck on this ship for 46 years watching Lawrence of Arabia.
Right.
Cosplaying him.
Yeah. That would be kind of cool, though. Somebody to cosplay him. That would be kind of cool.
He kind of did. He dyed his hair and cut his hair like Lawrence from Lawrence of Arabia before the crew woke up.
Right. Yeah.
He literally gets obsessed with Peter O'Toole. So I thought that was kind of a cool quirk of the villain, because
Right.
all the best androids from those films have quirky behavior. So for
Yes,
him,
they do.
it's that. And for oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. This is gonna kill me. The android from Alien, who plays
Oh,
the
I
doctor.
forget what his name.
It's killing me. Ash.
Yeah.
It's Ash. There's one tell before the rest of before the head scene. It's when he's alone and he like does this little strappy thing to his shoe and he gets up and he goes and like runs super fast.
Right.
And like I was like, oh, he's testing all the motors in his legs when I rewatched the movie. I was like, that's so cool. Like that's the stuff Ridley
Right.
does when it comes to like android people, or like just these little tells that they're not really human because they have these weird quirks. But like we don't recognize that because we have weird quirks.
Right. Everybody has their own weird quirk, so it's all
Yeah.
good. And I think that's why that movie's like before its time Alien, because of the quirks that the aliens have and the androids in those
Oh
movies and
yeah.
stuff.
And it's such a weird like industrial art take on sci-fi, and also it's a very lived-in lo-fi universe in the original Alien and in Aliens, to be fair.
Right.
Like it feels like they're just in an old broken down truck in space in the Nostromo. Like they're literally space truckers. Like that's brilliant. I don't think like it's definitely, for me, like it came out at the end of the American New Wave, right, in 79.
Right. Yeah.
That's the end of it. And that's because Apocalypse Now comes out, and basically and there's like a couple other films that basically like they don't do as well, and also the production is hell. Alien's kind of one of those movies where it's a product of the American New Wave, where it's very original, but it's riffing off of other stuff, but it's like taking these pieces and doing it in a very postmodern way. But it's doing it in this very lived-in method way of filmmaking. They built the ship. They built the entire ship. They literally lived and slept and ate and everything on this ship like they were the crew. That's so tough for everybody. You can't consistently make movies in that way for a long period of time without burning out all of the production crew and literally all of the investors, because the return on those kinds of things is not really there. The art is there, and those movies last on ad infinitum. You know, I mean, I did a whole piece on Apocalypse Now. It's a great adaptation of Heart of Darkness, but that's because it was assembled in the editing room. There was literally thousands of hours of footage. Like that's insane.
Yeah, it is.
Like never make a movie like that again.
Right. Like I was going back to Phantasma. It was actually going to be a 3-hour movie instead of 88-minute movie. So they had to edit a lot of the footage. So it went into Phantasma 5.
Yeah, like that's the stuff I'm talking about. Like that's only as a result of the American New Wave, and it's a brilliant era. But like those are the reasons why we're kind of in the position that we're in now. You know, with the kind of corporatization of film that some people are kind of getting sick of, right? But
I think they should just make new stuff instead of make all the same stuff.
What if I was to tell anybody to do anything right now to make art, I would say go read modernist authors. Start consuming modernist art, like the art movement before postmodernism. That's where like Hemingway and like books like The Great Gatsby come from that era.
I love all those books.
Yeah, so that's where the revolution is going to come from again, because that's where the American New Wave really got its energy. It was from this modernist energy, right? Like, let's make everything real again. Let's make everybody look in the mirror and go, no, this is the world. We need to fix it. And the challenge with doing that now is that there's so many people that want to escape. And that was what made Star Wars so successful. The American New Wave made everybody look at everything all the time. There was no way to get away from the drugs and the crime and the exploitation of people and Vietnam. Like, Jesus Christ, we just want to get. And then there's this space story with lightsabers and magic and good guys and bad guys, and we can tell this and that. And of course it was going to blow up.
That's why Star Wars has such a huge fan base.
Yes, but now we're on the other side of it now. Now we're on the like, and don't get me wrong, it's like we've talked about at the beginning. We love pop culture. We love that kind of stuff.
Right.
But if you want to see something new, you've got to go back. You've got to go back before postmodernism, and you've got to go back before like the idea of like trying to escape into a movie.
Right.
But you have to make something that's so good that people aren't going to want to escape.
Right.
They're going to want to look at it. Like Euphoria is a really great example.
Right.
Like that makes you stare at like, this is 21st century high school for these kids. Like this is the kind of stuff that like I had to deal with as a kid.
Me too.
You know? Yeah. So like I saw this stuff all the time. I like, there's so many people that OD'd the first 5 years out of high school. I'm in the Philly area. So like we have a big heroin fentanyl problem the whole time. There's people doing pure. Yeah, there's people doing pure carafentanol up here in Delco, and then they're driving down there for rehab, and that's why you have Wawas.
Right.
You're welcome. Now you get to know what a gobbler is.
Yeah, we have a bunch of Wawas around here.
But no, like it's like like the fact that Euphoria has this big of a following, I think should be indicative of the fact that I'm right.
Right.
That like the American new wave kind of does need to come back, and that people are ready for it. It's just not our generation. It's Gen Z that are like, they're kind of tired of escaping. They've seen their parents and grandparents just escaping into movies and nerding out, and all this stuff's happening. And they're like, we need to fix everything now.
Right. So, and they think us millennials are weird.
We're the hippies.
I know.
We're the digital hippies. We have a bunch of people living in vans.
I know.
And making TikToks about how great it is to be homeless.
I haven't seen that. I've not.
No, it's like, no, I live in a van and I have a sink. I just modded this sink out of plywood and and I've got all this stuff. I'm happy. I'm totally happy. The next video. I can't believe the police kicked me out of this Walmart parking lot.
Right. But
I could never do van life.
And they're like, okay, you're a millennial, so you guys just need to go. You guys aren't cool. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say.
I don't care. I don't care that I'm not cool.
Right.
Like I've never been cool.
Right.
Like,
I haven't either.
So I'm fine. I'm actually very proud of the generation coming up, honestly. I'm very proud of Gen Z and what they're doing. Like the fact that people like Greta Thunberg are just yelling at world leaders at 15, like, hell yeah. That's great. Yeah, make some good trouble. Like I love seeing people get active in their community, especially at such a young age, because like I was one of the people when I was going to school in college and stuff going like, we need to get more people involved in these things and trying to get people involved in it. And I'm the one getting laughed at on the corner.
Right.
Like, why do you care about the whales? And seeing these kids going, no, I made a guitar out of recycled plastic from the ocean, and it's sponsored by 40 Ocean.
Right.
Like, hell yeah, that's amazing. I want to see more of that every single day. I want people to email it to me.
Right.
I want people to tweet it to me. I want that all the time. I want to see a bunch of kids go, no, let's make the world a better place for our kids because you guys don't. And I want to be one of the people going, give me a shovel.
Right.
Give me a shovel and a sponge. Let me help you, you dumb kid. Do you even have sunscreen on?
Right.
No, I would love. I love them to death. I think they're great. I'm never going to hate on them. I'm going to tease them. I'm going to tease the shit out of them, but I love them.
Right. Yeah, they're really good. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We were just having fun, just talking movie talk and just talking about different things.
And just kind of catching up.
Yeah, pretty much. We haven't seen each other in a while or talked to each other in a while, so we were just kind of...
I loved it. This was so much fun.
I loved it. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Anytime you want.
Let's see what the people think.
So where can everybody find you, Pete?
You can find me currently on Twitter at Reel of Thieves, Instagram at Reel of Thieves, and Twitter at Breaking Character. Breaking Character is no G and no E at the end. So it's Breaking Character, and that's because I hit the character limit on Twitter. But on Instagram and TikTok, it's full Breaking Character. And Reel of Thieves is a show about basically all the references, riffs, and history, and all of the favorite stuff that you love. Right now, we're doing films. Eventually, I'd like to go into other media like graphic novels, games, stuff like that. Breaking Character is all about breaking down your favorite characters from your favorite stuff. So that is all over the place. Today was all about One Punch Man. And that's twice a day, 2 90-second episodes a day. You get one in the morning, one in the afternoon, early evening. And then Reel of Thieves is once a week. So if you want to reach out to me, at Reel of Thieves, at Breaking Character, yeah, a lot of ways to find me.
And I will link all his links below so you guys can find him. And if you guys want him on your shows or just talk to him about anything as well. And
yes,
you guys,
please do.
And you guys know where to find me. You can find me on Popping the Popcorn on Instagram, Facebook /groups, Patreon /Popping the Popcorn. And I want to thank Amy and Dana from the Run Eat Drink podcast, and Josh. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye. I love you.